Oh yeah, there you go. Okay, there you go. And now I gotta find the right spot. Okay. Oh, sure. All right, good boy. All right, so this is gonna be an overview of all the parts and pieces. And for you all as program managers, there's other things in the new development program that have changed besides the WQMP and SSM and the guidance document. So we're gonna really briefly breeze through what all the pieces are that have been updated, so that you understand their role. And obviously to increase your understanding and make sure you have effective, consistent program implementation. So now we're into the first of the introductory modules, overall program documents. Okay, just really quick. Is this the? Oh, no. What did I do? Where's the? There we go. Okay. So you've been living for the last, well, really since '03. There's been a few tweaks, a few updates, but by and large, you've been living with a program that had a Section 7 of the DAMP covering this, some CEQA guidance, a model WQMP that has been in use, a template, and LIP Section 7 that 6, 7 that's been in your own programs. Well, we've done a major revamp of the DAMP. They've been through a couple of rounds. We're just putting the finishing touches based on the last few comments that came in the middle of late last month. And before the end of this month, we'll put out a final DAMP Section 7. CEQA guidance has been tweaked. We'll talk about that today. The model WQMP is all new. That's one of the major things we're talking about. And the technical guidance document did not exist before. There were pieces of technical support and technical information in the previous model WQMP. So the current one is actually shorter than the old one, but the technical guidance document has got a lot more information in it because of all the new lid requirements. The template has been revised. Same thing. We've gone through a couple of rounds. We're tweaking the last comments, and you'll be getting that distributed and posted before the end of July. The non-priority project water quality plan, which is really just a North County issue. Okay, North County. I'll talk about that later. But we've kind of revamped. There had been sort of templates out for non-priority project checklists and trying to cover a sort of a narrow piece of the DAMP. That's relatively new, and the template has been revised where appropriate for you all to update your LIPs. All right, primary documents, as you know, are these. We like to think that the model WQMP is sort of the what, why, when. It's taking the permit requirements, translating them into a working document for you that says what has to be done, when does it have to be done, why does it have to be done. The technical guidance document then is where it really, project proponents, or for that matter, you all, and your reviewers, and even public agency staff in doing capital projects that also have to go through the WQMP process, how to do them. The details are in the technical guidance document. And then the updated template, which is linked to both, is a vehicle that we'll talk about further that will allow individual project ones to be developed. Okay. So what's been done, just real quickly at DAMP Section 7. Most of you, I'm sure you all know, the county went through a major update of most other DAMP sections last year, published some updated ones to align with the new permits. So this Section 7 was the one that was left out while we finished the program. It's been updated in parallel, and that's what's going to be out, final, distributed. The latest version of all the other sections are on the website, and this one will be posted as well. Okay. And of course, Section 7 is a program framework for reducing adverse impacts and the methodologies to meet the NPDES permit requirements. It's your internal, basically, it's your internal guide for how you run the requirements for you running your program, in this case, your new development, redevelopment program. So it's really a permittee-focused document. Okay. These are the major subsections. We didn't revamp the subsections. They're all basically the same that you're familiar with. The significant changes, though, in the permits have been reflected throughout to be consistent with the 2009 permits that were adopted in North and South County. And one of the things that you'll hear several times today, and this was a particular theme of the Santa Ana Board, I know it's important to San Diego Board too, is the linkage between model WQMPs, and particularly preliminary model WQMPs or preliminary/conceptual model WQMPs in the whole CEQA process, up in the planning process. We'll talk about that a lot more. There's stronger linkage and more encouragement and more direction in terms of how that can be done. This flow chart has been in the DAMP for a long time. Most of it is similar. Most of it has not changed, but changed a little bit. And this is really more of a North County change, is what happens for projects that are not model WQMP projects, not priority projects or priority development projects, as the San Diego permit calls them, but that still fall in that what is now a pretty narrow subset of projects that still need some kind of attention with the non-priority project plan and how that works. So that's been tweaked a little bit. Okay. Just really high-level overview of what we've been doing with the DAMP. The LIP template, again, it's been updated to reflect the revised. So we start with DAMP Section 7. We revise that based on the model WQMP. We then look at have been looking at the LIPs and been doing that as we go and getting them out and getting comments back. The changes there are pretty similar to try to reflect the DAMP, and it's now formatted. It's formatted for use in both permit areas. So what we've done, there was some hidden text before. We kind of moved the hidden text into things, but we've used a sort of color coding system. So where you see red, it's simply things that you as a permittee have to insert. In this case, it's your Public Works Department, who are the contact names, okay? But wherever there is a difference between North and South County, between Santa Ana permit and San Diego permit, there is either green or blue text. Some cases it's simply editing. You know, whether you either pick one or the other, the city's required by the permit. And for those, is there anybody in one of the cities that splits both? Yeah, okay. So, you know, unfortunately, we were not able to get either board to kind of work out a deal to let you be in one board or the other, so you'd have to have double notation. And then where there is actual text that is, oh my gosh, what did I do? How did I get there? Okay, we're here. So anyway, it was formatted. So if there's actual text that's different to reflect the language in the permit that you can put into your LIPs if you haven't done it already, you know, if you're only a Santa Ana region permittee, then you pick the green text. If you're a San Diego region permittee, you pick the blue text in that particular section of the LIP. So we've tried to make it as usable as possible so that you can. Why is it doing this?
It's just a slide.
What is a slide? Oh. Oh, okay. All right. It's just, you know, I thought it was the introduction to the next module. I'm sorry about that. All right. So that's just a couple of quick overviews that the LIP has been updated and you'll have it. Okay. Now, the model WQMP, that's the major one we're going to talk about. Obviously, it's been revised to coincide with new permits, and the big emphasis, as you've been hearing for the last couple of years, has been on low impact development and how that changes the whole flavor and structure and so forth of selecting and incorporating BMPs in their project. In addition, the whole area of alternative compliance approaches when lid BMPs cannot be met, or it's not feasible to meet those. You'll hear about that a lot more. Has been updated. The idea of conceptual WQMPs or preliminary conceptual WQMPs has been updated to reflect what the permits are telling us. Regional BMPs, you'll hear about that more, and that was an issue that's been discussed and debated and worked through and bought off on by the Santa Ana permit, and still, as I said, under some scrutiny and potential challenge by the environmental groups. And then there's a lot more emphasis now on public agency projects, and you'll hear about that quite a bit more. The template, there's been a new template, or at least significantly updated template produced. It provides references back and forth between the different program documents to make completing it easier, which helps to standardize, but we know, and then there's no requirement. The template is not a approved document, okay? The model WQMP it won't be changing for any time soon. Technical guidance document basically won't be changing, although there may be some ability to tweak it. The template is something that can be can be tweaked for individual permittees' use as long as it's focusing on the core pieces are still there that you know about. So lid BMP selection is one of the major areas that the template has been expanded to. It's longer than before. That's because the permits drive a process that is a little more complex and a little more structured than before. And then finally, certainly not the least of which, an important piece and probably the biggest piece of the whole package, which Eric's going to talk a lot more, is this technical guidance document. As I said, it didn't exist in your previous program. There is so much more that has to be thought through, so many more challenges in terms of getting through the process of selecting, prioritizing, deciding if lid BMPs are feasible. That there's this whole technical guidance document, so it's a methodology. It's new. It's providing standardized assistance, and it is intended to be used in both areas. And it's really, as I said before, sort of the how-to. Okay, so you know what you have to do, when you have to do it, what has to go into the WQMP. You know, when it gets to how do you apply that to an individual project, that's where the technical guidance comes in. And finally, this non-priority project water quality plan, which again is something that is not required in South County permit. And I don't know that any South County permittees have been using it, but it is for a subset of projects I'll talk about a little bit later that are still considered non-priority but discretionary, that the permit still says you have to do something about. Santa Ana permit does. And this is a tool for use for those that narrow group of projects. Okay, so it has a similar function as what some of you had been using before as a non-priority project checklist. And we call it a plan. It's much more limited. Really, the requirements haven't changed. It's not, we really haven't tried to make it lid oriented, and that was a comment on a lot of permittees, because the permit didn't say it had to be lid oriented. That doesn't mean that there can't be some lid site design and source control BMPs in the design of these this small set of projects, but it's not required to go through any kind of a lid structure or lid review, and that's what the plan is set up for. Okay, so that's kind of the big overview of everything that's been happening, everything that's going to be in your toolbox to use. The rest of the training are going to be taking each document, looking at it, looking at how you complete the process steps, looking at technical information, and how each of the documents link back to the overall program. And so in the next hour and 40 minutes, or 2 hours and 40 minutes, sorry, 2 hours and 20 minutes, we're trying to get through all of that. So that's an overview just to get you on the same page of where we're going. Any quick questions now? Okay. Don't feel free to ask. Don't be shy about it. All right, so now we're going to have sort of an introductory module to the new model WQMP. Okay? And it is, again, as I said before, it's structured around the model WQMP and where there are, and particularly focused on how it plays out and how you will be using it in North County. But we'll go from there. All right.